What's up, everybody? Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 23 of my favorite 30 rock solo albums of all time. This is the countdown we're doing each and every day here in the month of November 2023. 30 days in the month, our 30 favorite solo albums. Of course, over the last couple days, I've completely reconfigured what I'm considering solo records. This has turned out to be one of the toughest month-long assignments that I've done in recent memory, just because what really makes a solo album, right? And I've struggled over the last couple of days with some of the stuff that was on my list further up, which to me, the more I thought about it, weren't true solo albums. They just became solo bands that kind of operated going forward. So I think that's a topic for another show. Those solo bands, those very well-known people who left a bigger band and went solo, but put together a band that operated going forward. And maybe a consistent lineup, and people in the band became almost as well known as that person, the singer, the guitar player, the drummer, the bass player, whatever it might be, that started that band. And it just became a band. And even though the band might have had part of or all of the person's name in the title, it really was a band, not so much a solo album or solo project. So there's like a difference. So like I said, I've reconfigured my list. I have a bunch I'm still working on changing at the top of the list. But the good thing is, in doing that, it allows me to talk about a lot of albums that we haven't talked about much at all here on the channel. It's for those of you who are like, oh, I can't believe you're not going to include Dio and Gillan and Wings and Ozzy, and it's like, yeah, they're all great. We've talked about them so much here on the channel. We'll talk about them on another day, another month, where we're just talking about those solo bands, right? Whereas here, these are albums that, these artists kind of popped in and out of their main bands, put out an album. Yeah, maybe they went on tour and put together a little band that went on tour with them. But for the most part, they were solo albums that had all sorts of people working on them, right? And they truly are solo records, right? And that's kind of what the spirit I always wanted to do. But it's so easy to cherry pick all those other really well-known solo bands, right? But they're not true solo albums. So today, for pick number 23, this is a true solo album. This was released July 27th, 1981. It's the first solo record from this lady, recorded produced by Jimmy Iovine and Tom Petty for Modern and Atco Records. I'm talking about Belladonna by Stevie Nicks. Yeah, of course, from Fleetwood Mac, right? And Buckingham Nicks before that. So this was a very, very successful album for Miss Miss Nicks, who of course was riding very high. She was riding high at a lot of reasons why she was riding high, but the Fleetwood Mac, enormous at this time, right? Of course, you had the Fleetwood Mac album. You had Rumors, Tusk, and then this. I mean, this was just a massive, massive success for her. She basically lead vocals on the whole album, of course. Waddy Wachtel on guitars, who, let me tell you, really good player. Excellent on this album. Davey Johnstone on acoustic guitars. Bob Glaub on bass. Ben Montench on organ, of course, from Tom Petty's band. Russ Kunkel on drums. And then you got all sorts of other people appearing on this as well. You got Tom Petty, of course, plays on the one track, co-lead vocals. Rhythm guitar. Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers shows up on a couple of tracks. Don Henley shows up on here. Stan Lynch shows up on here. Donald Dunn shows up on here. Tom Moncrief shows up on here. Richard Bowden, Dan Dugmore, Bill Elliott, Bobby Hall, Phil Jones, Roy Bataan, Billy Payne, David Adelstein, Lori Petty, Sharon Solani. Right, a lot of people play on this album. Right, that's usually what happens on solo records. Like, you bring in all your friends and have a good time, right? So what do we got on here? We got the amazing title track opens up. I don't think this song gets enough credit as one of the great tracks on this album. Belladonna is a really cool, kind of atmospheric rocker, gritty rocker, right? I like the way the song builds. Great chorus, great vocal from Stevie. Excellent. Kind of Woman, another excellent track. Good pop hooks throughout this album, but there's a lot of gritty rock on this album. A lot of great guitar work, and Stevie's way of kind of like writing excellent kind of verses and choruses that just kind of bring you in, but they're kind of like mystical. There's this way about her songwriting I was really like. Of course, then you got Stop Dragging My Heart Around, which is her duet with Tom Petty. Excellent song, right? Big hit for them. Think About It, another really cool tune. She co-writes that with Roy, of course, from Bruce Springsteen's band. After the Glitter Fades, lovely tune. Edge of 17, I always loved Edge of 17. I actually went and bought that. When this album first came out, I did not buy the album. Here I am, Pete the Metalhead and hard rocker, right? But I loved Edge of 17. I went and bought it on 45. Such a great track. It's so simple, right? But man, Waddy and that just killer guitar riff, even though it's so simple throughout the whole song, it's just excellent. I love her vocals on it. How Still My Love, great song, great melody on that. You got Leather and Lace, gorgeous track with Don Henley, right? Outside the Rain, killer song. Outside the Rain, again, is moody and brooding and mystical, and nice slow build to that song as well. Another one of my favorite tracks, deep cuts on the album. And then, of course, you got The Highwayman, nice, pleasant, melodic song to finish out the album. So really good stuff here. Really good stuff here. As far as let's take a look at charting positions. I've got a lot here. Australia number 1, Canada number 2, Dutch charts number 20, Italy number 23. Not too bad, Sal. Japanese album charts number 53, New Zealand number 7, Sweden number 14. The UK charts made it to number 11. US Billboard charts number 1. Number 1 seller here in the States. So here in Australia, big time stuff here in 1981. And then certifications, Australia, this sold 100,000 units. Canada, double platinum, 200,000 units. New Zealand, gold, 7,500 units sold. And in the United States, 4 times platinum, 4 million copies sold. Big album. Big album for her. And as far as singles go, Stop Dragging My Heart Around was released July 8th, 1981. Leather and Lace came out October 6th, 1981. Edge of 17 came out February 5th, 1982. And After the Glitter Fades released April 30th, 1982. So, yeah, 4 singles released. Lots of copies sold. Hold on. My screen's doing all sorts of weird things. There we go. This was a big album for Stevie, and her follow-up did really well as well. But, Stevie Nicks doing the solo thing. First solo album. She would occasionally release solo albums throughout the decade. On her time away from, or Fleetwood Mac wasn't doing much of anything. So, but this is my number 23. Let us know what you think of Belladonna down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today, pick number 23. We'll see you tomorrow for number 22. Stay tuned. We got going to have at least a couple of new album reviews for you today. It's going to be pretty light today. I've been so busy with all sorts of other stuff. I really haven't had a lot of time to listen to this stack of new releases I have sitting here. And literally is a stack. There's probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's close to about 20 new albums sitting here that I'm trying to digest, to review, and it's proving to be a little challenging of late. So there's just lots going on, and just haven't been able to dedicate the time I'd like to it. But it's the way it goes, right? So some weeks you'll get 5, 6, 7, 8 new album reviews. Some days you might only get 1 or 2, right? It's the way it works. So thanks in advance for those who do tune into those shows. Like I said, there will be a couple of them coming up, so stay tuned for that. We've also got Monsters Den coming up this week. Friday morning at the Funhouse with Martin Popoff on Friday. Ranking the albums on Sunday. For those of you who did not see my little note on the community tab, it appears, I don't know if it's just where my head's at lately, that Baker Gervit's Army I already ranked a couple of years ago. So, scratch that. The only reason I was even going to do Baker Gervit's Army is because I got some stuff going on this weekend, which prevents me from tackling a larger catalog. So I wanted to grab something short and sweet that I could have easily done solo this week, but of course I already did that, as one of our loyal viewers pointed out. So instead, I'm going to rank the kind of related band, right? Baker Gervit's Army was Ginger Baker and the two Gervitz brothers, Paul and Adrian. Well, I'm going to rank the band that they had right before Baker Gervit's Army, which was Three Man Army, the two Gervitz brothers, right, doing their hard rock thing. So that's they got 4 albums, so I'll be doing that this week, so stay tuned for that. That's what's coming up. So and then we've got coming up on the Ranking the Album shows, we've got Rick Labonte's joining me. We're going to do a Guess Who Top 10 album ranking. That's coming up in the weeks ahead. Other things on the docket, Steve Keeler and I are eventually going to circle back around and do Dark Tranquillity for all your melodic death metal fans. Craig Kaminsky and I, when the new album comes out, we'll be ranking the Nebula albums, right, for those of you who love the psychedelic stoner rock type of thing. That's coming up. And, a whole bunch more. Grant and Arthur and I are talking about doing, what are we doing next? We are doing a top 10 of Todd Rundgren. He and I are also going to do Badfinger, right? We've also talked about doing Pablo Cruz, so that's Grant and I are going to be working on those things. And I've got a whole bunch of other ones that are sitting there in the queue. So for all of you who keep asking me well, Pete, why don't you just go back and re-rank all the old favorites, right, that you've already done? I'm like, there's so many other bands I still have yet to do. Then go back and re-rank and then just, because everybody's like, oh, why don't you go grab all sorts of different people and re-rank these catalogs? I'm like... Again, it's like going back and talking about the same albums over and over and over again. That's why I am continuing going forth and finding other bands in my collection that I haven't ranked yet, who may not be the big bands, but they still deserve attention. So for me, that's more exciting than going back and redoing the Black Sabbath catalog again or the Van Halen catalog again. It's like it's only so many times you can keep talking about the same albums over and over and over again. So anyway, thanks for watching, and did I say all the other stuff already? I think I did. We'll see you soon here. Stay tuned for some new album reviews, and I'm Pete Pardo, and see you tomorrow morning for pick number 22. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.